Learning to be alone is different from being lonely because you get to learn more about yourself, build confidence in your abilities, and depend less on others. So by building this self-drive and motivation within yourself, you can truly become unstoppable. So let's dive into how you can do it. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pamela and today we're going to be talking all about how to get comfortable being alone. Being alone versus being lonely are two completely different things, and being able to fill your own cup even when you don't have anyone physically around you is honestly a super strength. And like I said, there is a difference between loneliness and also being alone, but learning to be comfortable in your own peace and quiet can do so many things, because not only are you going to learn to just make yourself happy and content, but you are going to see so much beauty in what it is that you are able to provide, because that is honestly a skill set in itself. And like I said, this can take a long time to learn, but it's not impossible. You can truly create your own happiness and comfort, and there are so many benefits in learning to spend time alone and just learning to get to know yourself better. So let's dive into 5 tips that have personally helped me, and hopefully these tips are something that you can start implementing into your own life. Before we get into all of the tips on how to get comfortable being alone, I want to dive into some of the benefits of this, because this is something that not a lot of people talk about. I feel like being alone is really glamorized or like romanticized on social media, and when it comes to locking in and just being away from society and the world, and that is not the kind of vibe that I want to give off of this video. I know a lot of people are always like, isolate yourself for 6 months and see where you can get, and while that can be beneficial for some people, I think that just completely being away from like friends and family or your relationships is something that you should not be doing, because we obviously want to be around people, you want to make new memories and be with like friends and family. Life is short, but at the same time there is a difference between spending your every waking hour with somebody or constantly doing things with like other groups of people versus spending some time alone and just doing things that are going to benefit you. Obviously not every single day you have to be super serious and locked in. That is the point that I want to just give off in a very quick little disclaimer. So let's get into the first benefit, which is that you get to depend on yourself for certain things. So you don't have to rely on running errands or doing things with other people. You can literally just get the job done for a lot of things that it is that you want to do when you are comfortable being alone, and you're not constantly being disappointed or waiting around for others to do things, because you have that self-drive and that motivation within yourself. When I was really influenced by like my friends and I really wanted them to help me do all kinds of things, it was hard because I was not comfortable like going out or shopping or doing any kinds of things alone. I always wanted my friends to be there with me, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But once I grew out of that like kind of high school mindset and I got into college and I became more of a young adult, I realized that I don't really need to have certain people to do certain things. If I want to just get up one day and go and do something, I totally could. And that takes me into number 2, which is that you get to learn more about who you are and you can be yourself. Learning who you are as a person is one of the biggest things and one of the biggest questions that we ask ourselves. Like, we spend all of our lives trying to answer this question of who are we and what is our purpose, like all these kinds of things, what makes us happy. It truly is something that only we can find out. It is not something that we can just go out in the world and ask somebody and we're going to get the answer. Like, you literally just have to find that on your own. And so you cannot do this by constantly looking at other people or trying to follow the steps that they're doing or copying them and saying, okay, I saw this person do this successful thing, so I'm going to copy their step by step. Like, everybody's success story is different and everybody's story in general is different. Like, no one on this earth is like you. Only you can do certain things for yourself. You can't really be relying on other people to just help you do certain things. By constantly like watching other people or watching YouTube videos and like reading stuff on other people, it's not going to help you. You really just get to learn to be yourself, and that is just one of the best things you can do when it comes to figuring out like what are the next steps you want to take. One of the last benefits is that you also become a lot more confident. So when you are very strong in yourself and your beliefs and your actions, and you have this conviction that you are able to get things done, you truly become unstoppable. And all my life, if I'm being honest, I've always had very low confidence. Like, I've never been someone who is the loudest person in the room or really can like show off certain things. Like, I'm very shy, and even to this day, when I started like spending more time alone and I learned certain skills and I really just spent that time in my room or like going out to a coffee shop or the library and like doing things, my life truly turned around. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that I graduated and I realized like, I'm going to take this next step for myself. I'm going going to make my life worth living in terms of finding what it is that I love to do and how can I like make that happen. And so that was when I decided like I'm going to stop letting the outside noise affect me and get to me, and I'm going to start taking social media seriously. So not only was that something that I did that like I took the next step in myself, but it really did help me become a lot more confident. Like I learned to make certain decisions on my own. I wasn't really affected by like the influence of others, and I want you guys to like know that you can do the same thing if you are struggling with something similar, because there is always light at the end of the tunnel, which is what I always say in my videos, but it is so true. Tip number 1 for getting comfortable being alone is write down the benefits of why you should want to learn to be alone. So the reason why I never saw being alone or spending time by myself as a good thing is because I never saw any benefits in it. So if you are struggling with getting things done in your life, or maybe you're having trouble figuring out your next step, maybe things are looking like a little bit cloudy, you can start by looking at your day-to-day life and figuring out like what does your routine look like. If you wake up at 8 but you don't get things done or you don't get work done until 11, then there is a little bit of a problem right there. If you keep saying that you have to book this appointment or you have to go grocery shopping or pay this bill on this day, and you just keep pushing it and you're late on things and you are like continuing this pattern without realizing it, then there's also another little problem right there. When I was trying to bounce back into routines and habits, I looked at what I wanted to get done during the day, and I tried to pinpoint the problem of like, why am I not getting these things done? And it turns out I was spending a lot of time just doing random things during the day. Like I was going out a lot, I was spending money, it was hard for me to stay focused, and I just wasn't around like the right groups of people. Like sometimes it really is your environment, but other times you have to realize like you have to either stop blaming your environment and do something about it, or just keep being in the same repeat pattern. And so I realized like I'm gonna stop blaming the people around me, I'm going to stop blaming my environment, and I'm literally just gonna stay true to myself, and I'm gonna look at what is it that I want to get done and why am I not doing it. I realized like through this process that I was the one that I was not staying true to my word. I'm the one not seeing the benefit in these things of like being alone, because I simply was like, there is no point. By turning this mindset around and starting to look at what was affecting my day-to-day, it really helped me turn my mindset around. And so I sat down and I was like, what are the things that have to get done, and if I actually put in time every single day to get them done, how can I like coordinate this plan to actually see if it will go through? And so as soon as I locked in and I turned that time alone into time worthwhile, everything truly started to change for the better. But it was because I started looking at things from a different perspective and a different lens, and it made me a lot more grateful for this time alone, because now I realize like, okay, I have a plan and I actually have a will and a motivation and I can get things done. But it was literally because I finally saw a benefit in it and I pinpoint all of the problems and made a solution. Tip number 2 is have genuine hobbies and things to fill your time. The way that your productivity will increase immensely just by spending time alone is truly an understatement. When you are in your own world and your own bubble, things are going to change drastically. But this can also happen with your hobbies. And when you finally realize that you have the time in your day-to-day to do things, you are going to improve your concentration, your energy levels, your creativity, like all of these things, because creativity is highly boosted during this time. This is something that I did a little bit of research on, and almost all of the articles I was reading said this, which is true. Like your creativity is really going to go up, and the reason why is because during these times your mind is free to wander. You can think without interruptions, and you can do things without having somebody else there or somebody else's influence. When I started going on walks alone and I would listen to a podcast or a YouTube video, my life truly changed, because these moments led me to some of the greatest discoveries about myself. And sometimes the best work that we have, or the best things that we end up doing, come from those moments when we are alone. If you have no real interest or things that don't bring you joy, then that is a great time to actually spend time figuring out what does make you happy, what does bring you joy. And I always say that I got lucky from a young age, because I've always known that I love making videos, I love being creative. Like ever since middle school, when I saved up and I bought my first iPad, I loved making little music videos and iMovie trailers others and just things around the house when I was younger. So it's always been within me. And as I got older, and then I hit like beginning of middle school and then in high school, I got obsessed with that like YouTuber, blogger era. And I was like, wait, if these people can do it, I can totally do it too. And then that's when I graduated high school and I was like, I'm totally going to try this out. But it's literally because I thought, how can I turn my hobby into something real? Because that's always just been a goal of mine, and it changed everything, and it got me excited because I was like, what else more can I do? Like, what other possibilities can actually come true? If it weren't for those moments alone and then like planning the content and filming and editing and posting, it would have never caused me to learn more about like, what do people want to see? What do I like to see? What do I want to film? How can I turn this idea like into a reality? All these kinds of things. And it basically just turned into this cycle of my side hustle like brings in more income than my actual main freelance job. And it's because I had that time by myself and I turned my ideas into a reality. And a lot of people say that they will do something or that they will try to plan things and they're going to like try to make it perfect to the point where you basically have already failed because you haven't really done anything. Like, you truly just have to put your mind onto something and actually make things happen. Post the video, start the business, make the website, whatever it is, start the podcast. Like, literally you have to just start, but it truly stems from your hobbies. And when you have something to focus your time on, it's just going to be more exciting. And also you actually have something to spend your time on. You're not just sitting around and not doing anything. And maybe there's something in the back of your mind that you've always wanted to do, but you never really had the time to do so. Now is that time. Tip number 3 is master your mindset. So you are going to test yourself in so many ways when you learn to be alone. You are going to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and it truly is going to be a moment of you against you. You're going to question things. You're going to have a lot of thoughts. You are going to go back and forth on different things. Whatever it is, you are just going to really test yourself and your mental strength. And so mastering your mindset is a great pro of spending time alone, because you are going to build this self-reliance and you're going to realize you are actually capable, more than capable, of getting whatever it is you want done and whatever it is that is on your mind. It's amazing, obviously, to like be surrounded by people and friends and family and your relationship, whatever, but it's also about learning to be empowered on your own. So if you are constantly needing other people, or you constantly need other people to like be your rock, it can be hard. I used to be like that, and I am always the friend that is, picking people back up, giving them that motivation and just giving them a helping hand. And while I love doing that, like, that's literally why I make these videos, sometimes you need to have a little bit of that within yourself. Having just a small portion of that within yourself is essential, because there are going to be those mornings and those days where you don't have a YouTube video on to motivate you, or you don't have a podcast to listen to, or anyone around you to get you back up to whatever it is that you want to do. You literally are just going to be alone with your thoughts. So you have to be the one to pick yourself back up, which is why I always say, learn to master your mindset. Learn to master the art of having that little person to give you a pep talk in those moments. And I never used to have that side of me. It used to be really hard for me to get up early in the morning. Like, I would get up really early for a few days in a row, and then I would stop, or I would stay super consistent with the routine for a week, and then I would stop. And I always was like, why is that little voice? Like, where is it within me, and why am I not able to get certain things done? But it really has to do with mindset, because they both go hand in hand with each other. Your mind is honestly your biggest strength, so use that to your advantage and make sure that you have that person within you that is rooting for you and that is your number one fan, because that is how you are honestly going to start to fill your own cup, and it's going to be poured into other aspects of your life, not just with discipline and getting goals or habits done, but with anything it is in life that you want, that is a personal goal, a wellness goal, whatever it is, it will start pouring into every aspect of your life, which I think is amazing. Tip number 4 is take yourself out and get movement. So to be comfortable being alone, you of course should take yourself out and do things that are for you and your body and your mental health, your wellness, whatever it is. And so when I started going on walks alone, I truly believe that this time it changed my life for the better. And the reason why is because I was obviously alone with my thoughts, but it was also early in the morning, and I was learning to persevere by actually taking action. So after years of saying I want to be an early morning girly, after years of saying I want to turn my life around, I finally decided to do it. So I was getting movement, but I was also getting comfortable with not having anyone around me. And like I said in my previous videos, July was truly a life-changing month for me because it was the 7-month mark that I was a post-grad, but it was also the 7-month mark that we were 7 months into 2024, which is absolutely crazy. So I look back on all of the lessons and opportunities that the first 6 months taught me, and now I wanted to make the last 6 months count even more. But without this life-changing month and taking action, that I would not be doing this today, trust me. In June, when I was doing my monthly reset and I was planning July, one of my goals was to focus on long-form content. And when I tell you guys, I focused so hard on this. I posted 14 YouTube videos in July. On top of that, I was still posting on TikTok and Instagram, and I was doing short-form content. I was starting to get into threads, but like all of this, it led me to monetization on YouTube, which took me over a year and a half. After a year and a half of finally getting to a little over like 1,400 watch hours, it only took me a month to hit 3,800 watch hours, which is crazy that I did that in a month, but it literally is just because I decided that I'm going to lock in and I'm going to make this happen. And so by locking in and being by myself and literally just focusing on planning content and having this big goal in mind, I was like, I'm not going to go to anyone. I'm not going to ask anyone for help. I'm not going to text. Like, I am someone that truly, when I want to do something, I set my mind on it and I do all of the research possible. I do everything that I can to find free information online because I don't really have anyone in my life that I can go and text to when it comes to social media things or information. I literally just have to like figure things out on my own and do trial and error. And so I did the research, I made the plan, but the secret in that is that I actually followed the plan. And so I didn't try to copy anyone. I didn't try to find like a step-by-step of anything. The answer was literally in just taking action and learning from that. And so from these moments of being alone and walking, it helped me because not only was it like moving my body and getting that energy, but I felt good. And then while I was listening to YouTube videos and inspiring motivational videos, it made me even more encouraged to take that leap of faith and do whatever it is that I wanted to do. But truly, some of those best moments where I was like, I'm just going to take the leap of faith was because I was spending that time by myself and with my thoughts. The last and final tip, which is tip number 5, is listen to podcasts and inspiring YouTube videos. So by listening to other stories or podcasts and finding motivational videos, you too can keep yourself afloat during these tough times. And it was in high school when I found the podcast called How I Built This that really got me into entrepreneurship and business. It was literally because I was going through such a dark and lonely period of my life that I wanted to just cling onto something else to keep me going and keep me afloat. And it was that podcast that I found that made me realize there are real people out there who are able to turn an idea into a reality in whatever aspect it is they were doing. And that really motivated me because it made me realize like I'm also just like them. I started small, and every big business or every big idea starts small. When I was in high school and I hated going to school and I was in like a really bad state mentally, I always had 2 things that kept me going. Number 1 was motivational videos on YouTube. I would listen to this every single morning while I would get ready for school. And number 2, this fantasy dream life that I had in my head. And this dream life kept me going. And the reason why is because I felt so strong in it. Like every day when I would get up and I would listen to these motivational videos and I had nothing else going for me, I truly knew, I was always like in the back of my mind, something great is going to happen, or maybe in a few years my life is going to change. Like I don't know why, I just always had this little like manifestation or a dream life goal in my mind. I just always knew that it was going to happen. And I've always been doing like secret things of manifestation as I was getting older. I just never realized there was a name for it. By listening to other people's stories and not copying, but just getting motivation and hearing how they were able to persevere through whatever it is they were going through keeps you going for your own story. And I've said this before in other videos, but listening to athlete like motivational mindset videos really keeps me going, and specifically Kobe Bryant, because the way that he talks about how he would practice every single day by himself and then would show up in practice as if he was showing up for a real game really goes to show that mindset is everything, which is why I said before, learn to master your mindset, learn to be your number 1 fan and your number 1 cheerleader even during those tough times, because you are going to realize that you are honestly so much stronger than you think. You are so much more capable than you think. And by finding other people or role models or those that you look up to, you can really push through and keep that thought in the back of my mind of all of these people were able to do it, I'm going to be the next one, and I'm going to make and write my own story. So that is all for today's video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. These are some of the tips that have been really helpful for me when it comes to mastering being alone and just mastering that mindset of doing things and just getting to that end goal. It's going to take years, it's going to take time for whatever it is that you want to do. Nothing is an overnight success, but always carry that torch in your heart and just know that wherever it is that you want to go, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I believe in all of you guys. Thank you so much for all the support, the comments. You guys are all so amazing, and I will see you in my next video.